Good morning, everyone. In the last class, we discussed about what is data redundancy and what is data consistency, all the things which we have discussed, and to maintain the dependencies and to overcome the redundancy what we have in the data and to remove the dependencies, we have to apply normal forms. So here we have four types of normal forms: first NF, 2NF, 3NF, and 4NF, or this is also called as Bicode normal form. So in the last class we discussed first normal form. We'll have a recap. So if you have any data, we have to remove the null values and we have to remove the duplicate values along with a primary key we have to set. So if a table is with pure key values, in the sense we have to set a primary key, and we must that must be either a single column key or it can be a composite primary key. So we can remove the dependencies, functional dependency, that is considered as a first normal form. So today we will discuss about second normal form here. So a relation is said to be in second normal form if the following two conditions are satisfied. If you want to convert it into second normal form, that must be into first normal form. So the relation must be in first normal form, and non-key attribute must be fully functionally dependent on primary key. Non-key attribute in the sense a column which doesn't included in any composite key or a primary key. So an independent column fully functionally dependent on primary key. So that is concept of the second normal form. Okay. So in other words, it can be said that a relation in second NF, if it doesn't contain any partial dependencies, the second condition need to be verified only if relation consists of a primary key that is composed on many attributes. So we will go with an example, then only we can understand here. So initially all the single key components of the relation are listed separately. Then the key component which is a composite key or a combination of listed keys is specified. Each of the listed components becomes the primary key in the respective table. So if I take a table here, this is a complete table, department ID and department name. Here we have employee ID, employee name, employee designation, and employee salary. So in this, it is in a complete normal form, it is in first normal form, complete dependency is here. So here department name is completely depends on the department ID, and all the employee details are depends on employee ID. All the employee details are depends on employee ID. This department name is depends on department ID. So if you want to identify a unique department name, that is possible only with a department ID, or if you want to find out a unique employee details, it is only possible with employee ID. So these are all non-primary keys, and it is also non-primary key. So all the non-primary keys are fully dependent on employee ID. If you don't have employee ID, we can't get a proper or unique record of an employee. So since these partial dependencies result in data anomalies, it is necessary to eliminate these dependencies. So this can be done by performing the above mentioned steps. So you have to split this table into two tables. One is department ID, employee ID, these are the keys, and department ID, employee ID will be the composite key. Okay. So the combination of department ID and employee ID is the original composite key. Based on these key components, the actual employee relation is decomposed into three tables: department table, employee table, and salary table. We are splitting the table into three tables to remove the dependencies. So department table will contain department ID and department number. In this, department ID will be the primary key. The second one, employee table, here we have employee ID, employee name, employee designation, and employee salary. Here employee ID will be the primary key. Third one is salary table. In this, department ID, employee ID will be the composite key, and we have one more, that is number of days working will be another table. So we are splitting the table into three tables so that we can eliminate the partial dependencies. Okay. So any non-key attribute should be dependent on the key attribute. Non-key attributes అన్ని కంపల్సరీ కీ అట్రిబ్యూట్ మీద డిపెండ్ అయి ఉండాలి. కానీ మనకి ఈ ఫస్ట్ నార్మల్ ఫామ్లో ఉన్న టేబుల్, ఇఫ్ యూ సీ దిస్ టేబుల్, దెర్ ఆర్ మల్టిపుల్ డిపెండెన్సీస్. ఓకే. సో if you go with a composite key of department ID and employee ID, all the values, all the non-key attributes are dependent on this primary key or composite key. So there is a possibility of anomalies. So to overcome that, we are splitting the entire table into 3 tables to maintain a proper dependencies. So that is considered as second normal form. Now we will go to third normal form. So a relation is said to be in third normal form, it must be in second normal form, that is mandatory. Second one, a relation must not have any transitive dependencies. So in other words, it can be said that a relation in 3NF, if every determinant is a key, that is for every functional dependency A to B is a key. Basically determinant is an attribute whose value determines the value of other attribute. Okay, so we will see with an example here. If you have this table, depends on the employee designation, employee salary is dependent, depends on the designation only, will have the salaries. So this type of dependency is called as transitive dependencies. So if your table should be in normalized, so it shouldn't contain any transitive dependencies. Two non-key attributes must be depend on each other, must not be depend on each other. So the above dependence diagram consists of a transitive dependency, employee designation to employee salary, which must be eliminated in order to convert the relation into 3NF. So we shouldn't have this kind of dependencies. So if you want to enter any employee salary, that should be depends on the employee designation. So based on the designation, we will give a salary. So here we can see a transitive dependency which is there in this employee table. So what we are doing here, so here transitive dependency is based on employee designation. So identify a determinant of transitive dependency, that is employee designation. Identify the dependents who are dependent on employee designation, employee salary is dependent. Now remove the dependent attribute, remove the dependent attribute, in the sense employee salary will be removed. So the salary is deleted. The dependency of employee table is defined as employee ID, employee name and employee designation. So here department table will have these 2 columns, employee table will have these 3 columns, and salary column will have employee designation and employee salary, set salary. Next normal salary table will have this. So your complete table is split into 4 tables to maintain proper normalization formats. So in the first normal form, we should eliminate functional dependencies. In the second normal form, we should eliminate transitive dependencies. In the third normal form, we have to remove transitive dependencies. In the second normal form, we have to eliminate what we have to eliminate here, functional dependencies. In the first normal form, here what we have to eliminate, relation schema is said to be in first normal form if the attribute values are relational or atomic. There should be no repeated values in a particular column. Yeah, if you don't have any repeated columns in a particular column, that should be in the first normal form. Second normal form, in the sense it should eliminate functional dependencies. Third normal form, in the sense it should eliminate functional transitive dependencies. So here we have seen first normal form, second normal form and third normal forms, 3 normal forms. And then next part we have bipod normal form, BCNF. A relational schema R is said to be in BCNF if the following statements are true. Each functional dependency P to Q, so Q is depends on P in a set F. So F అనే ఒక ఫంక్షనల్ డిపెండెన్సీ తీసుకుంటే there we have P to Q. So we can say Q is depends on P. So in this functional dependency, that holds over R. Here P is a subset of attributes of R and Q. So P is a subset of R and Q in a single attribute of R. So the given functional dependency is trivial QEP. P is a super key. So a tuple in BCNF is the relation is considered. So in this A1 to AN non-key attributes. A1 to AN are the non-key attributes. BCNF is considered to be the most desirable normal form with respect to redundancy, since it restricts the detection of redundancy using functional dependency. So it will remove the dependencies here. So consider the following instance of BCNF P to Q. So P to Q, this instance contains three attributes P, R and Q, P, R and Q, and two tuples. The value of the Q attribute in first tuple is not known. It is not known, but it is given that these two tuples satisfy the functional dependency. Moreover, as both the tuples have the same values in the P column, okay, it can be contained this. Just a second. So in general, the file organization, how we can store the files into your system. So this can be in the form of normal CD drives or floppy drives, or in the hard disk. So we can store the data in the form of hard disk with the help of these circular flat platters. So these platters are made of either glass or metal coated with a special material on both nodes. The information is stored in tracks. These tracks are again split into small sectors. So every sector will have different tracks. So the data will be stored sector wise. So after completion of the first sector, then it will go to the next sector and next sector and next sector. So first the data will be stored in a sectors. Okay. So read and write operations is carried out by using a special electromagnetic devices present on the sliders, which is mounted onto a actuator arms. These arms are connected into a single assembly and placed on the disk. So here in general, whatever the disk, hard disk or CD drives or floppy drives, whatever we have, we can store the data in this drives. So the drives will be in your hard disk and all. So write operation is carried out in the same way as done in the floppy disk. So the disk surface consists of array of magnetized and demagnetized dots. Binary 1 is used to represent magnetized dot and binary 0 is used to represent demagnetized dot. In order to read and write from disk, virtual file allocation table or file allocation table is initially read into Windows operating system when the hard disk is being partitioned. So whenever your hard disk is partitioned, we will have some places for FATL, FAT, file allocation table. It will contain the complete addresses where we have stored the complete data. So every file address will be stored in this file allocation table. Now reading of VFAT and FAT helps the operating system to know the sector and the track in which the data is stored. So here whenever we create any folder, that folder complete information will be stored in this file allocation table. So that table will contain the name of the file and the location where the file has stored and the sector name. So whenever you want to retrieve the file from that hard disk, this FAT table, it will interact with the FAT table, operating system will interact with the FAT table and it will locate the sector from where it has to accept the data. Okay. So in hard disk, read and write doesn't come in contact with the disk surface. The distance between the read and write head and the disk surface is equal to the thickness of a human hair. In case if both read and write head comes in contact with the disk surface, then head crash is caused. Okay. So whenever you want to read any information from your hard disk, if you want to read any content from your hard disk, so that is possible only with proper read and write head operations. So in order to reduce the chances of head crash, many disk controllers place read write head into a track which is unused. So whenever we have any unused tracks, basically this read tag and write operations will be performed from unused places of your hard disk. So that is the basic concept of physical databases whatever we have. So the information requirements, the information is to be provided in the form of normalized relations. Attributes belonging to relation must be clearly defined. Information describing the creation and modification of data, so how you are modifying the data, everything, every information to be provided. Requirements associated with providing security features like backup, recovery and integrity, all the details should be taken care. Information describing the technology is used. So what are the technologies we have used to store that information to be provided, so that we can retrieve the data by using the same technologies. So decisions to be made, what we can select here, selecting appropriate data types for all the attributes while reducing the storage space. So for example, if you want to store integer values, you have to create only integer data type, so that we can save some space. For example, if you want to store an integer value but you have created a float type of slot, so unnecessarily some space is wasted. Why? Because in general in the programming language, integer will occupy 2 bytes and float will occupy 4 bytes. So all the values are integer type, but you declared it as float, unnecessarily 2 bytes are wasting. So to overcome that problems, you have to create a proper data types to be mentioned. And designing whether to group the logical data into physical record or not. So we have to decide whether to club the records or not. Third one, deciding the arrangement of similar records. So what you want to do when you have similar records, so this arrangement is also be taken care. Last, use of indexes, architectures, etc. to make retrieval of efficient. So if you want to retrieve the data efficiently, we have to create a proper indexes, so that data retrieval will not be a tough task. So this is a general storage organization of hard disk. So how the data will be stored in hard disk. Apart from that, we'll have 3 types of file organizations: sequential, indexed and direct file organization. So sequential file organization in the sense, just a second, yes. So in sequential file organization, records are stored in sequential order. These order are arranged ascending order based on the key fields. In this, records are accessed sequentially. If the desired record is in 20th place, then the preceding 19 records are also accessed. It is not possible to access the desired record directly. So that is the thing what you have in sequential file order. So sequentially we have to access all the records. If you want to access 20th record, you have to cross all the 19 records and then only you can access your 20th record. So this is the thing what you have in sequential file organization. So this type of file organization is efficient for payroll program, but it is not sufficient for all the operations. Second one we have is indexed sequential file organization. In this, records are stored in physical sequences using primary key. In this, every record stored in the disk have respective index, which is used to access the record sequentially and as well as randomly. So both possibilities are there in this indexed sequential file organization. So every record will have a proper index. So if you want to access third index, you can directly go to the third index, or if you want to travel all the records, you can traverse all the records. Both possibilities are there in this indexed and sequential file organization. Third, direct file organization. So in direct file organization, records are stored in direct access storage devices. In this, desired records in the disk are accessed directly. This type of file organization eliminates the requirement of maintaining and searching indexes. So it won't take much time. Directly whatever the things you want, you can access it. The example is magnetic disks. So there are 2 types of hashing functions used for organizing the records. They are static hash function and dynamic hash functions. So here we have static in the sense the data is stored in the form of pages, which are together referred to as a collection of buckets. Each bucket has a primary page and data entries. It may also have an additional overflow page. In this, fixed number of buckets are used. See, for example, we take 2 examples. One is normal tape recorder, another one is CD drive. So if you have CD drive, you have loaded some 20 to 50 songs in that CD drive. So if you press the song number 35, directly will go to the 35th song. So that is the thing what you have with direct access. Okay. So static hash functions, the data is stored in the form of pages. and which are together referred to a collection of buckets. Each bucket has a primary page. So we'll have the things. ఇప్పుడు మనం ఏ మూవీకి వెళ్ళాలనుకుంటే ఆ మూవీ డైరెక్ట్గా విల్ గో టు దట్ మూవీ అండ్ వీ కెన్ ప్లే దట్ మూవీ వాట్ యూ హ్యావ్ ఇన్ దిస్ CDs. So that is considered as static hash functions, and the same way we have dynamic also. So in dynamic hash functions, records are stored in buckets and the buckets are dynamically allocated based on the number of records. So here we have extensible hashing and linear hashing. So we'll discuss about these two hashings later in the next classes. In the next class we'll see about heap file organization also. So this is all about in today's session.